In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to get started modding your Xbox controller without breaking it. What's up guys, I'm Nick, the owner of 7 Watts, and we make the best mod controllers and other gaming products. My team and I have taken apart and modded thousands of Xbox One and PS4 controllers, and today I'm going to show you exactly how to start modding yours without breaking it. Now if you want to win a PS4 Xbox console, be sure to follow us here on YouTube and the other socials, because the first several people that see our videos and comment on them get entered to win our monthly giveaway, and we love hearing from you guys. So to safely take apart the Xbox controller, we are going to cover the equipment you're going to need for disassembly, all the parts inside, modding the controller, and getting it all back together with no extra parts. And all the valuable info that I mentioned will be linked in the description so you can get it there. So today we're working on a version 1 Elite controller, which is a Gen 2 type controller without Bluetooth, and a Gen 3 controller with Bluetooth, sometimes called the S controller, because it was released with the Xbox One S, but technically it's not called that. So first with the tools. Before we get started, you want to make sure that you have something soft to work on, because the abxy buttons can get scratched very easily. You can use a project mat like this one, or microfiber towels work great too. Now, one of the most common problems people have is stripping out these T8 security screws. That's because the screws are super cheap with sloppy tolerances. On top of that, pretty much all of the screwdrivers you can find online are made in China for literally half a penny. Besides looking more like a toothpick than a screwdriver, these tips of the screwdrivers are soft metal, so they only work a few times before they lose their shape. They are also undersized, which works out terribly with the oversized screw head on the controller. It looks like they started using slightly nicer screws on the Elite controllers, but it's still a problem, which is why I custom made Torx security screwdrivers specifically for the Xbox One controller with a slightly oversized tip so they fit the controller screws like a glove. They're also magnetic so you don't lose the screws, and they're made with super high quality steel so they'll never wear down. Included with the screwdriver is this pick tool for removing the side panels without scratching them. Some people complain when they see the corners of the pick tool start to wear down and bend, but that's actually intentional. We made the plastic on the tool slightly softer than the plastic on the Xbox controller, so it will bend or scratch before your controller gets bent or scratched. So let's start taking it apart. We're going to remove the side panels by pulling away from the controller in the path of an arc, like so. You can also try the bow and arrow method, or you can get it started with the pick tool. It helps to have strong hands here. Now once the side panels are removed, 4 out of the 5 screw holes are revealed. You can go ahead and loosen those screws, and I like to keep them resting in the bottom shell of the controller so they don't run off. Now we will puncture the battery sticker to get to the 5th screw. Once that screw is loosened, we can remove the back cover. To remove the back cover, especially on the Gen 2 controllers where the headphone jack pokes through the shell, you want to pull it off in kind of a gentle side to side motion. Now as I'm removing the back cover, I like to keep upward pressure on the faceplate because otherwise it will fall free. Now on the Elite controller you have this ribbon cable in between, so you want to release it from the board by flipping up on the release tab here and letting the ribbon cable go free. Now we want to flip over the controller and pull off the faceplate and set it aside. With the Elite controller we have this little switch that you don't want to lose, and then we want to go ahead and pull off the thumbsticks. Now here we have the main rumble motors, and they will fall loose on you while you're working on the controller and kind of flop all over the place. So for this video, just to keep them out of the way, we're going to hot glue them in place. This is totally optional, but it can prevent the wires from getting torn loose. So once we have the motors taken care of and it's flipped over on its back, you can see there are 2 circuit boards. Often modders call this top board the main board or the MCU board because it houses the primary microcontroller. And this bottom board they call the power board because that's where the battery or USB power routes through. So here you can see the connection points for the main rumble motors and also the trigger rumble motors. So to remove the main board, we break out our 7 watts T6 screwdrivers and remove these 2 screws. Then we want to place even upward pressure on the main board and downward pressure on the power board with our fingers. That pops it loose from the headers connecting the two, and we can work on the power board. So when accessing the power board, I like to rest the main board up here out of the way. You could completely remove it if you want, but that just takes quite a few more steps and requires that you use a soldering iron to remove the rumble motor connections. Now let's get the power board pulled off. To do that, we have to remove these T6 screws. Now that these screws are removed, we want to carefully peel off the power board, trying to keep the silicone button mat in place. Then we can pull off the button mat, revealing the buttons. Here's where you want to be really careful, because if you jostle the controller at this point, the buttons can pop out of their sockets or even out of the frame here and be a total pain in the butt to get back in place. So on the S model, we are going to go ahead and replace the abxy buttons with bullet buttons and start putting it all back together. Reconnecting the power board to the main board does not require much force, about as much force as you would press a doorbell with. If it's not going together easily, stop, pull it apart, look for problems and misalignments, and just pop it in again. At this point, we can install our aftermarket thumbsticks. Now, a quick note on the aftermarket magnetic thumbsticks that are made to look like the Elite controller. When the Chinese factories tried to copy the Elite controller parts, the magnet in the thumbstick was too strong. Now, incidentally, the trigger pull on the Xbox controllers is also registered by magnets. If you look closely here, you can see the magnet housed behind the heat shrink. As the trigger is depressed, it moves closer to this Hall effect sensor, which senses the magnetic field from the trigger and registers a trigger pull. So what happened with the aftermarket Chinese thumbsticks is when you would snap the left thumbstick forward, it would actually fire your weapon because the Hall effect sensor was picking up the magnetic field. This wasn't a problem with the PS4 because they don't use Hall effect sensors, but I would still not be super comfortable with it because a magnet moving over wires can induce voltages. Replacing the switch, we want the notch facing upwards, and now we can put the faceplate on, and then we can put on the back plates. Now we need to reinstall the ribbon cable. You kind of place it in place and then close the retaining hinge on it. And as we reinstall the back plates, you want to depress the triggers, make sure the battery tabs are exposed, and then kind of rock it into place. Does this look easy or hard to you? Comment easy or hard down below and let us know what you think. And as far as a greater understanding of modded gaming, mod controllers, what types there are, and how they work, check out our other videos that go over that in more depth. Now once it's all set in place, we can put the screws in and the side panels on, and then we're good to go.